Check it.
Oh, so y'all really in this bookie. All right, girl. You know what? I I fucks with you tough. I feel like I say this every episode, as if we're not already roommates, twins, cousins. Let me quit playing too much, girl. But hi, what the fuck is up, girl? Not you back at the Hey Boo podcast studio. All right. Well, as usual, you know what I'm saying? This is the Hey Boo podcast. I am your host, Boo Boo. Welcome. What the fuck? I I've had a very fun overall couple of days. I'm not gonna lie. I can't even really complain too much. From the time that you'll have seen this, basically I'll have had my birthday already passed. I am entering the last year of my 20s, which I'm blessed and highly favored to even be alive at this point. So no complaints or anything to say when it comes to aging or anything of that nature. But yeah, I feel like I did so much, girl. I went and raved in a Dave and Buster's. I went paddleboarding. I jumped off a rope, did a backflip, went into the water. It was crazy. Um, I had a bunch of fun time. I had a seafood boil. Oh my goodness. I don't think my coochie deserves to throb the way that it did for that boil, girl. Because if I could just basically put a Cajun butter sauce or a little bit of garlic in an IV and into my arm, maybe I would do that. But then my back would be way bigger. And I want my butt big, not my back big. So, excuse me, girly pop. But yeah, welcome. We do have a really fun episode, and so just as a little reminder for the people who are kind of like joining in on this, I know the numbers are kind of scrambled when you read them, but we're basically just revamping the first 4 episodes of the podcast because the whole season is out now and it's all recorded with audio, but we joined this cool YouTube community, you know what I'm saying, in the middle of the season. So we're just kind of we'll back, get some more dialogue in the first half of the season because I feel like some people missed a lot of the fun parts of the season outside of the second half. So yeah, girl, you read the title of the episode. Let's really get into things. Let's get into things, nitty gritty. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no. So for those who don't know, I am African American. Yeah, I'm black. Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew, but I'm also gay too. I know. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Genuinely. But girl, what can we do? So I think it's a really fun time and a really fun topic when it comes to being black and queer, especially for me in the space that I'm in, because girl, the black community and the gay community, they do exist together, but then they like don't. And then there's subcategories to each one, which is so strange to me. Girl, a black Republican. Listen, child, we're going to leave that one to the other episodes because I don't even think I could get into that like that. But yeah, girl, I just feel like it's very difficult to find this weird space of separating them, but also finding the duality in both of them. At least when it comes to my own identity, being, a queer black man in this really godforsaken place. Also, before we really get into nitty gritty, did y'all get raptured yet or like what's going on? Because like I think, the rapture was last week, by the time you guys would have seen this. Clearly I'm still here, so who's still here? And I wonder what they wore, like, because me and Sky Daddy are close up top, so I'm just curious, like, what that all looks like, but conversation for another day, girl. But yeah, no, black and gay, let's really get into the fucking fun parts of this shit. Genuinely, I feel like being able to separate those two words and then understanding what they both mean and tangible together, you gotta be able to break it down in like the simplest ways, and so like unfortunately you do have to separate them and then decide what parts you're going to put together. And so really the parts of homosexuality, because that's what we're going to deep dive first. I feel like that's the easier parts of everything for sure. I feel like it's very hard to be a gay man in this world. I mean, outside of even being black, but yeah, because I mean, outside of just like hate and stuff, it's hard for the person being in that, and I'll speak for myself, finding that space of being a man, having my male identity, and then also being a gay man too. So fucking hard, and I feel like I don't speak for anybody else but myself, but I feel like it's very difficult for a lot of people to even be able to separate, those things, but also put them together. So like, when it comes to building up a man as you're growing up and growing, where do we start? So by textbook definition, what even is a man? You know what I'm saying? And so girl, I went to Google and I was just curious, like, well, what would you find? What would you see if you went to Beyonce's internet and asked, well, what would you say a man is? I've never heard or seen so much deflection and unstraight answers. You guys can go down that rabbit hole if you want to. I'm not doing it again. But basically, out of the 52 words and all different resources that I found, you find a couple of the same ones intangible together. So, like, those are the ones we're kind of going to go after more so than not. But yeah, I say social definition because technically, like, outside of like a gender role, what is a man isn't really in the dictionary, like my man, because it's really just a synonym to male. So, but by social definition, authenticity, is one of those big things. You got respect, integrity, personal growth, emotional intelligence. As I'm already saying these things, we're like, who are we describing? I know. Yeah, I know. But these are just a few things that I find. Sense of purpose. And so with those things, being able to identify all of those parts kind of, I guess, makes you a man. Whether I agree or not, it's not the point. But by definition, those are the things. And so, growing as a queer boy, and being, the only male in my house, in my adolescence, it was very difficult to like almost bridge this weird gap between finding my sexual identity, but also being in my own, like a gender identity too. And so it's hard to be authentically yourself when you're already in a space that doesn't want you to be yourself, i.e., being my mother. And so, her not even being comfortable with my sexuality at any point, even today, speaking, like literally right now, it's not something that she's ever. It's different when it's outside your house. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's had gay friends. My mom she did hair for a really long time. And so, she's had niggas in wigs in the house with us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew a man in a wig, or I knew a man who just sounded a little fruitier than he should have been. I'm like, are those nails almond? Okay, with the cocoa butter brown, I like that. So it's like, you can't, again, when it's outside of your house, it makes it a little different, I guess. But being able to identify these parts of myself as a man, very difficult. But I do give a lot of respect to the people who do have the ability to grow in both sides, who do have that support system to allow them to grow in that queer, in that manly parts and everything. Because like, manly doesn't mean man, and I don't ever want that to be a thing. And in a Black household, that's all that there really is. It's like, either you're a man or you're not. And so you have the unfortunate cliche things of like, don't cross your legs, or like, don't limp with your wrist, or don't talk a certain way, don't watch certain things, don't move your body a certain way. Girl, I could shake my ass at 14. Don't play with me. But like, it is what it is. Now that we're kind of growing this man, and we're kind of deciding, I'm going to use all these pinpoints, whether you do one at a time or not, it does become very interesting when you're able to do it all together. And now you built the man. You know what I'm saying? The Ken doll's now perfect. We're in this perfect world. We're practicing what we preach. We're now authentically ourselves, giving that respect to the things that we need to, which is still not an easy thing to be able to do, And I feel like a lot of this gets lost in translation, because then you have like these like Christian white dudes who are like, oh yeah, I'm all of those things. And I'm like, don't you have a mistress? No, wait, come back, don't leave now. But like, don't you be eating pork when you shouldn't be? You know what I'm saying? So it's like all these weird things that I always find very interesting as to what makes a real man, anyways, outside of queers. Because I feel like, realistically, when it really comes down to the real man, I'm just gonna say it's the whole lesbian community, and that's on their homies. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I just feel like there are more real men and other demographics than there are in the men in the world. Not to say that there aren't real men by those, these weird social definitions, because I surround myself with all of those type of people. And I don't want this to be like a hate train of like, oh, we hate man, boo. Because like, y'all did that to yourself. But like, that's not what this is. And I don't want that to give this. But at the same time, it's not hard to find men through the fluff of actually good people. All of my close surrounding friends, all white men. Damn near every single one of them. All Caucasian white men who unintentionally all really, execute and exercise all of these things on this social definition of a real man, which I love, and it's why I surround myself. You know what, like, whether you think it's a microaggression or not, I always do have to go out of my way to applaud my white friends, just being like, hey, listen, thank you for not being like the rest. Like, hey, don't kill the messenger. I'm just saying, thank you for not being like all of the, because there's a lot of bad of them. So it is something that I always do give credit where credit is due. And I applaud the people who are able to find those things. And if you, at a young age find this, and you're finding ways, how do I know where to execute what, or practice what? take your time, brother. Like, you're literally growing one day at a time. Have a sense of direction, but like you're still here right now. And so today is going to be today, and it's not going anywhere else. And so, like, finding ways to authentically be yourself and find those things, do all those things for yourself first, and then learn to practice them. That's going to be the easiest way. Don't go out of your way to be this nice fake thing when you don't actually feel those things. Feel those things about yourself first, and then move forward. You can only handle one step at a time, and so that it has to be one step, two step. You know what I'm saying? And so you definitely have to take it one day at a time. That's the man part. The black part we'll get into, but again, it kind of duality, and I'm speaking from my own personal experience. The gay parts that's the fun. Not my voice getting higher as I'm talking about homosexuality. Girl, bye. But like the gay parts, it's such a fun place. So by definition, homosexuality is just being attracted or romantically attracted to the same gender, i.e., I like dudes who have all dude-like things, whether that is a biological man or a transgender man. A man is a man. I'm attracted to that. Sweaty, hairy, bald, all of it, man. I like that shit. I'm in there. And so when you think about that stuff, my favorite thing that always comes up in the queer spaces, you're in your adolescence, you try to do like the whole cliche, like, oh, maybe I'm just bi. And then from there, you're like, I'm not actually gay. Your parents are the people who don't accept you for you, who always go, well, it's your choice. Just like, you'll phase out of it, or just like, don't be. Y'all gonna piss me off. This will make my ass itch from the back. Okay, so like, what on Beyonce's Blue Planet would make any of you oogly boogly bitches think that I consciously am choosing to go after a man who used 12-in-1 body wash, no car, no money, half a job, probably a baby mama somewhere, 2 teeth to his name, girl. He smelled like what the fuck is Dove and bounced that ass. Like, why would I? No, if I could date a woman sexually, I would. At this point, I'm thinking about it. If she pulls her pants down, I'm gonna lose it because I can't. I'm not in that. No, it's cute, and some girls make theirs look really pretty. They'll like shave it a little bit, like little landing stripe. I think that's gorgeous. Little thunderbolt, even, girl, fuck it up. Yeah, keep it away from me, please. Yeah, no, we could bump coochies later. Like, we could cuddle. I kiss you on the cheek. We can do a little peck, but like, and yeah, and they smell nice. They're so pretty. You guys are so emotionally intelligent. Like, if I could have a girlfriend, I would. Trust me. And fun fact, bitches love boo boo. If you know me in my personal life, I'm not making that up. Bitches love boo boo. Let me be frank. And so it's I can't by choice just decide that I want to just no, it ain't by choice. So it does, growing in this homosexuality space and learning all of the different demographics of one, how to protect myself, at a young age growing up, and not just in outside, but also in my home, because again, you're kind of having all odds against you. Unfortunately, in queer spaces, a lot of homes, a lot of people, black, white, doesn't matter, they don't accept their children at that young age. And so, for the viewers you watching, young age or not, I'm not going to give you the it gets better speech, because I fucking hate that. If anything else, I'm going to give you resources and ways to actually protect yourself. That's what I would prefer you to have, if anything else. I don't want people to feel like it's okay to be bullied and to be belittled just simply because of something that you like. Because now you miss your whole life. The amount of homosexual men that I've met at such a young age, not young age, at such beg your pardon, at such an old age or older age, who have like missed their entire lives because they didn't have the support system on learning just how to be gay or be gay in their own space. It's very difficult. If you don't have the resources to feel safe, you're not going to, it doesn't come that way. You know what I'm saying? And so unfortunately, if you're not in a space to even be able to, again, be yourself, authentically yourself as a man and as a queer man, it is very difficult to dissect what all those things look like and how to get to the places that you need to be. And so, one, find outside clubs or areas that have queer acceptance. If you got like a P flag group in your school, join that motherfucker immediately. If there's online forums, be careful, of course, because I'm not gonna send people into chat rooms with grizzly people. No, I'm not doing all that. But like, find you support groups. That is going to be the first and foremost thing that I feel like is going to be so important when it comes to growing up gay. You know what I'm saying? At least for me, I didn't have a lot of that support, and so it took me a really long time to even be comfortable enough to be gay. You know, now, bitch, you can't tell me nothing. I almost get offended if you don't know if I'm gay, because I was like, how? Do I need a lace front? Do I need to put, I almost said the F slur. That's crazy. But do I need to put that over my forehead? Like, what's going on here? Like, make it make sense. Not for me, for you, because I make dollars. But, you know, I guess it is what it is, girl. I think also, realistically, I find it very interesting, especially for me being, you know, queer and black, the amount of people on either side, you know, white or black of the spectrum, who don't quite understand how regular homosexuality is. Maybe as not like a human construct, but just as like a simple same-sex attraction. It's not just humans, Buki. Actually, it's more than just humans. Fun fact, if I'm not mistaken, 450 different species on the planet that we all live on all experience homosexual, I guess, or same-sex attractions. You know what I'm saying? And this is animals, mammals, insects, all kinds of things where they only have same-sex attraction. Whether you call it gay or not, I don't know, Buki. That says a lot about us. You know what I'm saying? First of all the Spartans, all them gay. Egyptians, they was all gay. The Bible, first of all, that's like, I don't want to get into that too much, but like, girl, it's freaky in there. I was like, what else y'all be doing in here? So like, I don't know. It's very odd the amount of people who just aren't okay with like homosexuality. I guess like as a general thing, and like even in the black community, like your family even getting a whiff of you being somewhat queer is immediately just like, what the, why you like that? Like, I'm not gonna lie, my mom, maybe she caught me like once or twice, but the amount of times I was wearing her high heels and her boots simply because they looked cool, I don't know, man. I just had style back then, and so did she. So I just thought it was really cool. But like, the amount of times if I did get caught something, it's small because she beat it in, so now it doesn't. No, I'm just playing. But you know, it was kind of like that where I did have to hide a lot about myself because I was not scared of her. I was just more like, damn, I don't need another bruise. Like, the last time she hit me, I almost started seeing different colors. So now I don't want to deal with that right now. Because for whatever reason, she's convinced, well, I'm a single mother, so I have to be the father too. And he would have hit you with his fist, not a belt. Don't know where that rule came from, but, you know, that's the thing. And then I get outside and I'm just trying to experience a little different things. And now people are like, huh, yeah. And I'm like, why? Because I baked goods in 8th grade? Like, come on, guys. Like, I feel like this isn't necessary. And it's just, I don't know. I will always find it so weird, I guess, that it's kind of hard to accept this thing that has literally been around the entire time, not some of the time, the whole time, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's very difficult to pick and choose these battles when all odds are, you know, kind of stacked against you. So again, learn to protect yourself. Of course, you know, those are the most important ways to kind of get to where you need to be, is just learn to protect yourself and do what you need to do to get where you need to be. Me being queer and black, though, I feel like there's another question that always kind of arises, especially when you have, you know, these different parts of your black family. Like, my family's half religious and then half just like very standoffish when it comes to like just gay stuff, more homophobic than anything, but like they wouldn't say that out loud, you know. But it is always very interesting to me, the, you know, interesting parts of my family that are like, you don't talk to us, we want to be around you, you know, we've been around the whole time. But I'm like, I can't even authentically be myself, and I never have been. You guys all cultured me in all these black things, which is so great, and told me about all the struggles that we had, but no one gave me this space to also experience all the queer, you know, things, or even just living that life authentically myself. And so because of that, I didn't have to pick a struggle, and I wasn't going to, you know what I'm saying? There was a couple of people back in the day who were like, oh my God, have you seen that Dave Chappelle? He came back, Netflix. And I'm like, first of all, that man is 62. He looks like a walnut. Like, I don't, that has zero, I'm not doing that. But I guess the premise is that he basically tried to like come for the, and again, I haven't seen this, so like, don't even quote me on this for real. But I guess like the premise was, he basically was talking about like queer black people and how they get to pick their struggle, but like women don't or whatever. And I'm like, who told you that? I'm probably getting beat up more in school because of both of them, not one side. Cause like, don't let them hit me and then be like, nigga, and I'm like, ow, stop. And then they're like, oh, he's gay too, and I'm like, girl, not the stuttering and the crying, pick a struggle. Like, you can't, you know what I'm saying? And so like, I don't get to pick my struggle. I don't have that choice. I don't think anyone on this planet does. And for anyone who says that is ignorant and you're a troglodyte. Fight the comments, don't fight me. Because like it just doesn't make any sense on any spectrum to try to tell anybody that you have to pick what side. That sounds dumb. I'm literally getting beat up on both sides because I am black and gay together, duality all the time. So straight keep up. And so I don't know where the separation of those two things ever came from. I didn't get that option. I was semi silver spoon fed kind of throughout my adolescence because my aunt was blessed enough to be able to like take care of me because my mom couldn't. So I was with her, a lot of my childhood into my adolescence. And so without, saying things, my aunt allowed me to do whatever I want. And, I was allowed to dye my hair any crazy colors I wanted. I could get piercings if I wanted. I could pretty much listen to any music that I wanted within reason because she was a Christian woman and I wasn't just playing like, fucking Sexy Red. Not that I had that, but I wasn't playing like Nicki Minaj, in the house or whatever. But I'm definitely glad I was allowed to kind of experiment more once I was around her and actually learn to be myself the whole way through. Because, like, I'm waking up, she playing Kirk Franklin on Sunday, so I'm getting out the gospel music, and then she's playing Jill Scott, throughout the week, and I'm like, love that. But then, I had an obsession with Mary Kate and Ashley as a child. Couldn't tell you why. She would buy me all of the DVDs, all the movies, every single one of them. If I wanted them, she was like, yeah, go get it. All the CDs for them, I could sing them, replay them all the time. We just watch them all the time. Mary Kate and Ashley even had a cartoon where they were secret agents. Bet you didn't know that. Yeah, love that stuff. And my aunt also loved that stuff with me. And so because of that, I got to learn all of this culture and all these things because I was just allowed to. And that is such an important thing when it comes to whatever race and then your gender and your sexuality. Learning to be all of the things about yourself authentically are so important. And if you don't have the safe space to be able to do that, you're missing out on so much of your own life. It took me so long to be comfortable in just being black. Unfortunately, not that a lot of black kids, I won't speak for a lot of black kids that don't, but I do know a lot of black kids that go through this. Especially being in Arizona for me myself, there's not any culture here. All the culture is brought here from like the East Coast and California. There's nothing here. And so not even getting to really be black or even liking being black, let alone gay, but not liking that. I didn't like my big lips, didn't like my curly hair, didn't like my big nose. I was like, oh my God, I hope I don't smell like cocoa butter going to school. Like, oh no. All my white friends just seem like they're rich, they have more money. Like, I want to be white. So I gained this self-hate for just being black for a lot longer than I'm willing to admit, for sure, trust me. But then being around my aunt all the time, that's where this like, damn soul, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, girl, that's a slave hymn. But like, just in there, soulful, and no matter what, I'll always be grateful for her just, consistently feeding into me, is because it's how I got to where I am. But then even outside of that, by the time I got to like 19, 18, I started dancing. I met someone and that person helped me in getting into a club. Once I got into that demographic, because then even for such a long time, didn't like being gay. But I was like, I'm going to just fuck with DL guys and half bisexual boys and get what I can get. And that's going to be my whole life. You know what I'm saying? But then after I started dancing and kind of that confidence, that self-worth, now I was starting to gain, girl, I was in that hoe. The gayness, I was really starting to just get into it. Things were starting to click. And I was like, no, matter of fact, I'm going to wear whatever I want. I'm going to look like however I want, talk like however I want. I'm going to go to a gay bar. I'm going to go talk to gay people. I don't want to talk to these in the closet. Like, go do all that. We, especially being queer and black, the DL just trade boy is such a thing. And we feed into that so much. T.S. Madison said this in a podcast once, that like the straight community and the gay man, we've fed into the DL man more than the straight people have, honestly. Like, we're creating and we're feeding into it, and we're like, no, there are strictly gay boys who are in this world. I know personally, who are like, I don't want no other gay boy. I don't want him to have no nails. I don't no fit nothing. I want him to have a wife, 6 kids, and never be seen with me in public. Girl, bye. That could never be my life. That's for the birds. So like, that kind of lifestyle, especially like I said, being queer and black, those things are so tangible together, unfortunately. And so it is never anything for me to want to be nothing else but myself these days. You know what I'm saying? I don't want anything else. I'm so self-aware that I just, being queer and black are my favorite two things in this world. And even learning, about my androgyny and just loving clothes and fashion and all these fun things, but still being black, being queer. Those are the both two, those are going to be the things at the top always. And not that it's like my whole personality trait. No, but they are very big parts of me outside of all the other things about, me being a dancer, me being an English major. But I am still queer and black. And those things are very important to me because my culture, my history, and my past on both sides are important to me, and I didn't get to choose those struggles. They're a part of my history because they are. And so, like, when someone does ask me, oh, like, why is it always going to be about race? Girl, ass slavery. Like, don't do that. You know why. But then even somebody who's like, well, you shouldn't be able to have PDA and da-da-da. Why? Because we're gay? Like, now I'm going to fuck him in the library. What are you talking about? What do y'all... First of all, y'all got that old decrepit ass tail from the crypt looking man, drop it like it's hot, talking about he didn't want to see two lesbians. Snoop D-O double boy, bye. He's like 100. Who cares? Like, realistically, like, I can't. Anytime any weird straight man has any opinion about the gay community, how did you get over here? But then even anyone outside of the black community who's saying anything like, well, why they do it? Again, how did you get over here, Buki? Who do you know here? Like, and so for the whole demographic of everybody who watches, I want you to remember, your blackness and your queerness are fucking important. Don't forget those things, and remember that those things are tangible together. They don't get to be separate. You are both of those things. Whatever demographic you feel like you're in and inside those communities, that's up to you. But just do authentically remember to be yourself, because you are still a man, unfortunately. But like, that's just what we have. And being a good man, a real man, that comes from you. That comes from how you decide to articulate yourself and the way that you decide to live your life. But being queer and a gay man, you can do it all together. It's not hard. Now, it doesn't stem from anything specific, but it's not hard. But you're not gonna, don't let these people on the outside give you anything that you're all not already dealing with yourself, eternally. And oh man, I just feel like it's so important to remember your importance, for sure. And so I definitely want to remember, a little unsolicited 2 cents. Always, 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 always remember to definitely, your perspective is key. And having the right kind of perspective on anything is going to be the most important thing every time. Girl, this was such a fun episode. This was spicy topics. Mental health check for sure. There's no timeline. Whatever you're doing because you can do it at any point that you want to do it. So don't ever forget that. Thanks for giving me your mental space today. Honestly. But yeah, this was such a fun episode, girl. We're going to get into some fun things in episode, but I got you, Buki. Well, as usual, this was the Hey Boo podcast. I am your host, Boo Boo, and I'll catch you next time.